Here I am, here we are, ready to get down to some biz. Oh yeah. I'm gonna try to rearrange this camera angle a little bit so y'all have some more good stuff to look at in the background. There we go. There's a big glare on share, but I'm sure we'll all be okay. All right. Tuesday, 7 p.m. Welcome to a new and exciting edition of Break On Through. That's how you say it now. You don't say break on through. You say break on through. Today will be our Independence Day explosive episode. And when I say explosive episode, that's because I will be talking about ANTiSEEN and its close relationship with Pyrotechnics. Now, some of these stories you may have heard before because I may have told them before. But any good yarn is worth telling again, isn't it? As always, first I'll have a few announcements to make. First and foremost, I got to show you something. Now, when I show you this, I don't want you to think, damn, I done slipped into a time warp or something. No, you didn't. It's happening live in real time. But there is a brand new ANTiSEEN and EHG split live cassette tape. It is not 1985. This is no jive. It's real. It'll make you feel. It'll make you squeal. You just order one, order two, order three. Go to Big Cartel and get it direct from me for as long as supplies last. This is the brand new release, released on Malcolm Tent's fantastic label, TPOS. They've been flying out of here. I hope you're doing good for Malcolm. I'm sure they are. We sold a bunch at the show where they made their public debut at our Ground Zero 28-year birthday program. And we had cassette tapes on both bands' tables, and the punchers were walking away with them in droves. Get them while you can. Speaking of getting something while you can, now I've got this for sale on my personal page, and you can contact me, direct message, even though I think I have all the information on. And I made the post on the ANTiSEEN page too, so it tells you everything. But look at these. These are so super bad and fly that even the First Lady says, you got my size in that? I'm talking about the Coffee soundtrack album t-shirt. Look at that. If that don't say Pam Grier was here, I don't know what does. I got them in sizes medium through 3X, and they are going quickly. So you should act quickly to make sure they do not pass you by and you're sitting at home with your head hung down, ready to cry. Of course, if you're most of the people on my feed, you'll of course make a post about it. Let's see. if you're a wandering type and you happen to be in the beautiful state of Connecticut toward the end of the month, and you find yourself near Newtown, Connecticut, that is the home of one Malcolm Tent for now. He is having a I'm getting down and I'm leaving town sale. Now this sale is going to be July 26th, July 27th, and July 28th. Location is yet to be determined, but it will be in and around Newtown, Connecticut. I've already seen people make things on this post. Are you coming to Kansas? No, it's not a traveling show. It's a show for him to sell stuff so that he can travel. So, I mean, if you live way down away from Connecticut, but you want to know what Malcolm Tent is trying to get rid of, well, then you need to make a road trip. You got 3 days, man. I suggest getting there on the 26th, because he's going to have some good stuff. And I'm going to go ahead and warn you right now. This ain't going to be, I'll give you $1.50 for the whole entire stack. It ain't that kind of sale now. In other words, you ain't buying used washers or a various can of screws or something such as that. This is Malcolm Tent getting rid of some of his exquisite collection. Now, I'm not saying it's going to be museum type prices either, but I'm gonna tell you this: he ain't giving it away. You know how it is, man. When you collect this stuff for years, man, and you always collect it with the whole. One day this will be worth a lot of money. Malcolm also reached the conclusion that one day is here. So, I'm sure there'll be more details tomorrow night on Tent Talks Tunes at 7 p.m. on the Malcolm Tent Facebook page. Hear my throat. Now I know it's almost July 4th, and everyone's thinking about meat on the grill, blowing stuff up, reading posts about people's dogs being traumatized. And the only other natural thing that you would be thinking about after those is ANTiSEEN. You're probably looking over at your friends or your wife, and you're going, damn, when am I going to get to see ANTiSEEN again? You got to tell me something. Well, they don't know, but I know. And I'm going to tell you right now where it is. Where and when. August 30th, August 31st, and September 1st. Beer Olympics 2024. Atlanta, Georgia. Man, there's so much going on that weekend. Now, I'm going to tell you the night we're playing, but I know a bunch of you're going to want to go down there for 2 nights or all 3 nights. Oh, Walt, wait, just remind me of something. Malcolm's talk show is now Tent Talks Tunes. Not Tent Talks Tunes. Tent Talks Tunes. Like break on through, or however I said it at the first session. Anyway, we will be playing on September 1st. That's the Sunday. And we will be playing with none other than the anti-heroes. How much anti can one have in one evening? Well, a lot of people's going to find out. Because they're going to see ANTiSEEN, and then they can see anti-heroes. And I have a feeling by that time they ain't going to know what hit them. Be one of the people that walks out of the masquerade in a daze. Get your tickets now. Can you dig it? All right, I got some more good news. I got a tribute to make. And I got a gripe. And then I'm going to start talking about explosives. All right. I'm going to go with my gripe first. You know, in the morning, when I first get to work, 5:15, 5:30. You know, we got to kind of ease into the job a little bit. We can't just like walk in and start high stepping and kicking and getting it together. Now you always got to ease into it a little bit. Well, you know, I'm looking at my phone and I notice my entire feed on ANTiSEEN and Jeff Clayton, I see nothing but posts from things that they think I might like. Yet I barely see any post from the things I do like. What's going on there? Are they just picking on boomers and trying to make it so we like lose our minds and get off Facebook altogether? Is that what's going on? I mean, you got to tell me something. I don't like it. I mean, it's filled with stuff that I never followed it. I never liked it or anything like that, but there it is. That is violating my community standards. And I do not like it. All right, here's some big news. On July 4th, the birthday of this once great nation, which will be great again. The full-length, all-new ANTiSEEN album, Great Disasters, will be on all streaming platforms. Now, don't you go dig some streaming platform from Indonesia and go, hey, Jeff Clayton wasn't on there, son. You said all streaming platforms. I'm on all streaming platforms that regular people go to, okay? It will be on there, and you can listen to the whole thing. Maybe you bought the rare Mothman larva green vinyl, and you're like, man, I don't want to play it too much. I don't know why you would buy it and not play it too much. But now, you can do it on your Spotify, your iTunes. To be honest with you, I don't know of any other streaming platforms. I don't even do iTunes. But it'll be there. Live, no jive, large and in charge, from song 1 to the last one. I don't know what it is. But they're all on there. And man, I cannot wait to hear the all-new rave reviews from people who probably couldn't hear it before because either they didn't have a turntable or they didn't see or hear the 265 mentions of us having it on CD. But now there's no excuse. Early ANTiSEEN history. We were a brand new, up-and-coming band who felt we had something to prove. And we were not interested in making friends. We were not interested in being the press darlings. We were interested in creating chaos, which we did. To the point that we were eventually banned from every club in Charlotte, North Carolina, and surrounding areas. We were once escorted out of Knoxville, Tennessee by the Knoxville Police Department. Did it have something to do with explosives? Why, yes, it did. I'm going to go ahead and be upfront and honest with you right now. We have done some stupid shit. Stuff I would not do today. Stuff no one would let me do today. But I can tell you this. Before my lead-in to ANTiSEEN's relationship with Pyrotechnics, I must do a little tribute. And you'll see how it all leads into one another. But during that time that we were banned from everywhere, because of the way our shows would end up, later we would get banned when the crowds got too big and way too rowdy, and they're just like, we don't want the element you attract. This had nothing to do with the element. There wasn't really that much of an element yet, except for what we brought to the table. But when we had nowhere to go, one club opened its doors and its stage to us, and the rest is, shall we say, history. That club was right up the street from where I live at this very moment. The building's no longer there. But I think of this place every time I go by there, and I go by there every day. But the club was the Yellow Rose, owned and operated by Dave and B. Malden. When the rest of this town has slammed their doors in our faces, and some with awful good reason to do so, Dave and B opened up the Yellow Rose to us, and we told them, man, we put on a wild show. Dave was like, man, take it to the limit. We want to see full tilt boogie in here. It might involve pyrotechnics. We got a fire extinguisher. It might involve throwing stuff into the audience. All right. Well, we had a new home. And that was our home for at least, I don't know, a couple of years. It's not clear to me why it stopped being our home base, unless they just didn't have live music anymore, or they shut down for a little bit or something. But while they were open, Dave and B never told us no to anything. Oh, excuse me, y'all. Woo! And yes, we are practitioners of the old ask forgiveness rather than permission theory, but even when that was put into effect, Dave and B, especially Dave, would just sit there and laugh at what just happened. One time, one of the news anchors from one of the news channels in town came to see us, and he and Dave were standing in the back. I think they were standing on chairs to make sure they could see. And the reason I even bring up the Yellow Rose and make a tie-in to all this explosive talk and everything, because this past weekend, B. Malden passed away. Now Dave has been gone for a little bit now. But B went home this past week, and I would like for everybody who has one nearby to hold up your Break On Through brew as we drink a toast to the memory of B. Malden and the Yellow Rose. Whether they cared to be or even figured they would be, they were a very instrumental part of the development and the history of this rockin' teenage combo. Now, since it's July 4th, you know, and man, I bought some fireworks. I got some up there, just enough to entertain a 3-year-old. That's nothing, no grand fireworks display, but it just it got me and the First Lady talking about some of the stuff we pulled in our career. And I'm going to give you a evolution of how all that worked. At first, it was simply a matter of having a big lighter nearby, or matches, and lighting the fuse ourselves and stepping up out of the way. Now, some of those instances were like when we, I told the First Lady we glued them, but I do not think that's true. I think we duct taped them. You know the 100 firecracker lines of black cats? Well, it wasn't just one. We did enough to go all the way. We, you know, of course, took the fuse and the string at the end to hold them all together, and, you know, wound them all real tight. And we put them on the inside of Brad Keeter's bass drum, all the way around it. Man, I don't know how many firecrackers that would have been. At the very least, 200. So I'd reach my hand in there at the end of the show when everything's going to pieces and light that fuse and get out of the way. Man, you talk about a noise, and the club filling with smoke, and the smoke just bellowing out of the kick drum. And not only did we do that in some clubs, man, we did that one time at a house show on New Year's Eve. And it caused such a disaster with the drum that I picked it up and took it and threw it out in the front yard of the place we were playing. And it rolled and hit a cop car. Man, see, why we didn't get arrested and all for the stuff we pulled back then? We didn't. So, okay, let me see what we got here. Uh-oh, little Coleman's Well, Coleman's raising the roof in there somehow. Sounds like he's not having a good time. Let me see here. So, you know, we were playing small places then. And every time we did, like, now sometimes we had somebody sitting behind the drum kit just individually lighting off smoke bombs. That was before we learned of the, that's when we learned about, before we learned about a fog machine. Man, when I tell you, I've said it before, but man, when we got started in '83, and we were doing this stuff, man, we, you know, with the exception of Scott Savage and David Earl, we didn't have really anyone taking us under their wing and telling us what, man, it was all trial and error. But we were doing this in small places because that's everywhere we play with small places. And eventually, I developed the idea of the flaming washboard. Now, I'm going to tell you how I used to do it. There used to be these smoke bombs that were oblong with the fuse going, you know, right out the middle of the thing, which is very convenient. Now, see, what I would do is take a drill and drill a hole right in the middle of the galvanized steel part of the washboard that I play, and I would take, you know, a few of these smoke bombs and do their fuses all together, stick their fuses up through that hole, and then I would, of course, man, that before Gorilla Tape came along, this band was held together and run by duct tape. So I duct tape those to the other part of the grill, and what I would do is just light that fuse and it'd go off, and all of a sudden, you know, the smoke bombs are going off in the washboard. And usually end up smashing it, but that was a nod to the smoking guitar of Ace Frehley, of course. But then we're just like, we're thinking about it, man. Just the smoke coming out, that's not balls to the wall enough. It's got to be a little more than that. So then we started getting the thing. They were not M80s, but they looked like old M80s. But they were really strong, and they were just like what I'm describing to you on that smoke bomb, except these were red and had the fuse going in the middle. And what we do is let's make the hole bigger, stick all those fuses in there, so it'd be like 2 or 3 of those and maybe 1 or 2 smoke bombs, something there, duct tape to the grill, you know, and it muffled the grill and everything. But, you know, I'd light it, and then now, not only would the thing smoke, but it would go, pow, you know, and sometimes it'd be so strong it'd lift it up, you know, boom, right off the floor. But then it got to be even more. Hey, man, this here ain't getting it. This ain't full tilt boogie enough. We gotta take it to the next level. That's when, as far as the washboard is concerned, I learned about gunpowder. And what I did at this point was I usually have them, and I still do to this day, whenever I do the flaming washboard, it's an envelope with 2 kinds of gunpowder in it. One will be Pyrotechnics, which is a black powder substitute. The other will be green dot smokeless powder. Now you're like, why you do smokeless powder? I'll tell you why. Because one, the Pyrotechnics makes the gigantic white mushroom cloud. The smokeless gunpowder makes flame, and it's slow burning. So what happens is, and man, I'm tell you what, I have had those things packed like this before, and put on my washboard top, squirt it down with lighter fluid, light a match on it, and just wait for the magic to happen. And of course, not all of them are like that. You got to have a big place to do those, but so most of them are about like this. But what happens is that when the fire burns through the envelope, that power dace goes up immediately into a big mushroom cloud. While it's doing this, then the fire goes up and lights it all up and makes it yellow or orange, and it's a beautiful sight. But it goes like that. And I don't know, one day maybe I'll get Clinton Zilla to make a compilation video of washboard burnings, explodings, and destruction. That might be a good idea. What do you think, Clinton Zilla? Are you even in here tonight? But then we learned about flash pots. I mean, this was all still, like I described before, pawn shop Alice Cooper, flea market Alice Cooper. I guess in this case it'd be more like flea market Kiss. We'd have those flash pots packed with powder. And someone just mentioned, I got it written down here, Moorhead Junction show. Moorhead Junction was a metal club. Over on Moorhead Avenue. And I think Blueberry Hill Road or something. That building's gone too. But man, they took a chance on us one time. And I think they regretted that. Because both nights, especially the first night, when we really didn't know what was going to happen, we had built a 2x4, spray painted it black, spray painted all the cans black. Man, there must have been 4 or 5 on each 2x4, and we had 2 of them. And we had them lined, like, not quite in the middle, but behind us. Extremely, extremely dangerous. And what the way we did it was we just had them plugged into a power strip, and it was someone's job to hit the power switch on. It's like, man, gosh, I don't know how we survived. But man, that Moorhead Junction show, to this day, I think that might have been the last time we did it to this degree. But I'm serious when I'm telling you, you could not see your hand in front of your face after these things went off. The smoke was so thick. And they opened the door, they opened the back doors, they opened the front doors, they cut off the alarms and opened the emergency doors, and man, the smoke was just bellowing. Now, it looked like it was on fire. I see, back then we didn't have cell phones and all to record all this good stuff. That would have been a beautiful record cover. But it was amazing. They were pretty upset with us. And I think we did still do them the next night, but they were just packed nowhere near with as much of the smoke powder. And I mean, it was still bad, but it was not as bad as the first night. But that was our last time ever at Moorhead Junction. But even after we had learned about flash pots, we didn't always take that stuff on the road. I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself now. What we had there used to be a place on Central Avenue. And man, I cannot, for the life of me right now, I cannot remember the name of it. I should have studied a little more. I think it was. No, I'm going to give it the wrong name. But anyway, there was a guy that worked there named Frankie. And I think he came to see us at Moorhead University. And that's when he said, man, I can build y'all a much better flash pot. And he built us one. And man, it cost us $60, which at the time, that was very expensive. In 86, 87? No, it was 86. But, man, it was a nice looking piece of equipment too. Nice big rounded edge square box. Screw on, screw off top with a big piece of pipe. I mean, it was all painted black. You took the pipe off. There were your ignition screws. You put your wire in. You put the pipe back on, and Frankie says, well, man, you only need like a tablespoon of powder. Well, I went and picked it up one day. This is, man, I lived over on off of Central Avenue. I can't even remember the name of them apartments now, but I was on the second floor. We brought this brand new flash pot home with us. And when I say we, I'm talking about me and Tom O'Keefe. It was just him. It was just two of us one day, one afternoon. So we said, hey man, if he says we need to just put like a tablespoon, man, he don't know what the effect we're trying to get, man. We're gonna pour a pretty good amount in there, you know. And so we got a drop cord, and we put it out on our balcony of our second floor apartment. Ran it in, and we had this nice switch box that was built for us at the time. And so we're looking at this thing through our sliding glass door. And Tom goes, wait a minute, before you hit that switch. And he starts going, Detroit Rock City. Duh. Hit the switch. And man, it went. And man, it shook our doors and windows like this. There was a cloud of smoke. We couldn't see in it. Man, why the doors didn't break and just shatter, I don't know. Maybe we had them a little bit far enough away that wasn't the end result. But when the smoke cleared, our box was blown apart like a cartoon cigar. And the pipe was out in the yard, the backyard, stuck into the ground. It catapulted, it got shot off of the thing and just went into the ground. Dude, man, that could have been somebody's head. It could have been our head. Prime example of the good Lord watches after fools. Because we were not given the chance to take these, or this, we only had one, to a show and experiment with it in front of a live audience. Now, even in the time of smoke bomb, or not smoke bomb, in the time of flash pots, occasionally, if we went through a town and they had a fireworks stand, we stop and get something. And when Mad Brother Ward was touring with us as roadie, I had him at some of the bigger places we played, we have a thing of those smoke bombs I was telling you about back there, and just have him lighting them off behind Greg playing drums, during the Eat More Possum time. So we just had this, big thing of smoke come up from behind us as we were burning the washboard and smashing it and all that stuff. Like I said, I don't know when the advent of the smoke machine came. Probably around 96. I think around 96 we finally discovered this contraption called a fog machine. But there was one show in particular down in Tampa, Florida, playing some big theater, and Joe's up on top of the PA taking a wire cutter to his guitar, and we're supposed to be having some pyrotechnic chaos going on, and Russ is behind Greg's drum, and he keeps lighting the match and doing this, and there was a fan up on the stage, so every time he go shoot, he go and blow it out. And of course, the hothead that I was back then, I run back there, and asking him what, but in a much louder, meaner growl. And I think eventually I just went back there and lit it myself. I don't know what happened. I don't remember, but it did get going eventually. But another couple times with those flash pots, man, we would have written on the set list when these things were going to go off. I forgot if it was a symbol or if we just wrote red, flash pots. And I just remember being on stage at the park elevator and looking over and seeing Tom O'Keefe straddling one of these things like minutes before they're supposed to go up. Now, the understanding is when whoever's doing this, so all y'all going to be out front. Yeah, we're going to be out front. Well, me and Joe's out front, and I look around and Tom's straddling the thing. And I like, come on. And then he'd step out, and then, man, as soon as he would step off that thing and get right out of frying distance, fire would go up in the air. And, man, I know he felt the heat, because I felt the heat, and I was a safe distance. But, man, we've seen, like, for instance, that when I told you about Moorhead Junction, my brother had a boombox and was recording the show on a boombox. Playing record. He had that thing, like, on a chair or on one of the speakers beside the stage. And, man, when those things went off, they melted the speakers in his boombox. The tape inside even melted. That's how hot this stuff was. Like, inside the Honor Among Thieves album, I think every version had at least some variation of the poster, but there's a picture in there where you see Joe and my hair is like way up in the air, and Joe's kind of doing like this. He had on the rebel flag cape and the rebel flag skull cap, and the blast from that explosion like pushed us off the stage. All of Joe's hair got burned off his arms, and you can see that picture. All you can see is a black outline of me and Joe, and the whole back is nothing but a big white, bright white cloud. That is from that Moorhead Junction show. There might be a few more pictures in there from then, but that's the only one anyone caught, because after that, there was no pictures being taken. You couldn't take a picture in there. I don't care if you were Ansel Adams. I mean, I'm telling you, you couldn't. So that was the last picture taken before visibility was 0. So take a look at it. And then, of course, and man, I've read a lot of rock and roll biographies and stuff, man. And I've read a few on Thin Lizzy, and they were talking about, you know, they weren't known as this big pyro band, but they had some at the end of the show or right at the beginning when they do Jailbreak. Boom, 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 right? Or at the end of the show, they'd have them there, and they would talk about how just like there was always malfunctions. Now, I don't know how Thin Lizzy handled malfunction, but I'll tell you how old JC would handle a pyro not going off malfunction. And this is with these 2x4s nailed to the stage. I just remember one time at Tremont, we had the, you know, and Tremont was big. And Tremont was a place that gave ANTiSEEN the green light for just about any and everything. And so we were gonna give it a shot there, you know, 10 big flash pots, and they didn't go off. They were sitting there, you know, it wouldn't happen. Oh my gosh. I got so angry. I just went up, grabbed the 2x4. By one end, I could get my fingers under and just pulled it up from the stage, probably snapped one. And I just started taking them and hitting them on the ground and stomping them. That was a classic JC hissy fit. Been quite a few of those over the years. Some of them caught on video, which Clinton Zilla will one day have all digitized for us. He's made a gigantic leap of getting that stuff together so far. I can't wait to see some of this stuff. The other night I bought one of these. He sent me a stack of DVDs, and I had a little portable DVD player that is about the size of this laptop right here in front of me. I was looking at some of that stuff, and I don't. Like I said earlier, I don't know how we got away with so much stuff. But before we sign off tonight, and I got to say I have enjoyed having you all here. I hope you all have a fantastic July 4th weekend and the rest of your work week. Malcolm says we need a best of JC Hissy Fits DVD. Man, that will be something to see. And it will be well worth the entertainment dollar. And there's a bunch of them. Some of them still get talked about in the towns we go into this very day. But before we sign off, I would like for you to one more time pick up those Break On Through brews, and I would like to wish a heavenly happy birthday to my friend and my mentor, Mr. Scott Savage. All right, y'all, that's it for this week. Next week, I'll try to come back have some more top 10s for you. And everyone, please have a happy and safe, as you can, and it still be fun, July 4th. Thank you for coming to Break On Through. Take care, everyone.